So for my listeners, let's go through a real world scenario here of
Yep.
how this works. So let's say I've got a house worth $500,000. I've got $100,000 debt on it. My mortgage
Yep.
payments are relatively small, so I'm not going to refinance. But I would like to get 100,000 out of the property, or I'm sure
Okay.
there's a percentage, right? You're going to look at
Yep.
that to equity, but in this case, does that 500? We have 400,000 of equity. Would we be
Yep.
able, based on, I know there's
Yes.
probably other requirements, 100,000, right? So your investors, you guys come to the table to the homeowner and come up with the equity contract, and the
Yep.
homeowner receives $100,000, right, in
Yes.
their bank. Now,
Well,
am I
let me as I
simplifying
say,
it too much?
no. Yes, exactly. Your numbers work perfectly. And all I was going to say is that is in some respects that is actually as simple as it is. It really is. We're looking at your property. We're looking at the debt. You've got plenty of room there. So and we can go up to 25-30% of the current value of the property. So $100,000 is 20% of the current value. If we add that to your existing mortgage, it's less than 75% loan to value. It's going to be about 40%. So you're well within tolerance.
Okay.
So the way that the agreement works is in exchange for 20% of the current value of the property, you agree with us that when you sell or refinance, which can be any time in the next 10 years, you will pay us 32% of the value of the property at that time.
Where did that come from? That 12%, is that based on?
It's 10%. For every 10% that we invest, we get 16% of the value of your home. So in other words, if we invest 20%, we get 32%. It's a discount where we're buying 32% of the future value in exchange for 20% of the current value.
And then and I know we can't give tax advice per se as a owner of an investment advisory firm. We do look at tax strategies, but this
Yes.
100,000 that I received as a homeowner, I am not taxed on that when I receive.
That's correct. That's correct, because it's not. It's a future-based transaction, so it's not income, and there's no capital. Excuse me. The capital gains tax calculation. And this is actually quite interesting because it is a very tax efficient way of receiving capital. If you were to refinance us or pay us back by selling your property, and if you had a capital gain due at that time, you can reduce your capital gains tax liability by the cost of our capital. So in other words, let's say that your $100,000 cost you $150 in total to include the original 100. That $50,000 extra cost of capital can be used to reduce your capital gains tax bill. So in other words, what you're doing is it's a tax efficient way, and that means that your real cost will be lower. So in terms of what you're paying as a cost of capital, if you factor in that capital gains tax benefit, your real cost of money is lower.